You have a much more sophisticated, divinely inspired navigational system within you called your emotional guidance system that lets you know in every moment if you are right now on the vibrational path of that which you say you want and that which source knows you want and that which source is in vibrational alignment with. You see how it works? So you are born knowing that you are worthy. But when you say to yourself, I'm not worthy, or I'm insufficient, or I'm inaccurate, or I'm inappropriate, the negative emotion that you feel is your guidance system saying, please return to the highlighted route. Well, what might that highlighted route be? That highlighted route would be like, I am appropriate. But you might be so far off your path you can't even get a whiff of that. So that highlighted route might be, well, I'm doing the best I can. That is closer to your route. And when you start moving in vibrational proximity to that which is truly your vibrational nature, you will begin to feel the relief factor, which is the release of resistance. The release of resistance, or the releasing of negative emotion, or the feeling a little better, is always the way that you understand that you are now proceeding to your highlighted route. When you get in sync with the power of you, when you get in sync with your right and ability to create, then you can relax and acknowledge that there is nothing that I cannot be or do or have, but I don't have to be or do or have it all right now. There is plenty to enjoy now and plenty coming along the way. And fortunately, it will not come in faster than I can allow it. You will not be able to receive something that you're not vibrationally up to speed with. So it turns out that the joyous life is the one that is being lived by the person who is aware of the relativity between their current active thoughts, which is all a belief is, and their desire. When you learn to manage this vibrational relationship between where you are and where you want to be, life becomes sweet, even though many things are not fulfilled yet. Now, what we mean by that is, if you get, by virtue of focusing, doing creative workshops, going to meetings where people are getting you all juiced up about wanting things, if you get your desire factor activated at a much faster pace on one or a number of subjects than you've got your belief factor activated, you're going to cause chaos in your own experience. Wanting things you don't believe is not pleasant. And yet, we don't want you to ratchet your desire back down to your belief level, because then nothing can change. And you know, that's what most people are doing, because most people are spending most of their time looking at what is. And when you are giving most of your attention to what is, you're offering most of your vibration about what is. So you're just getting more of what is. Different places, different faces, but essentially what is. So the way it works is you observe what is, you offer a vibration about what is, law of attraction matches what is, and you get more of what is. So you observe more of what is, you offer a vibration about what is, law of attraction matches what is, and you get more of what is. So you observe what is, you offer a vibration about what is, law of attraction matches what is, and then you get more of what is. And then you observe what, we could go on. Because you do. That's what you keep doing mostly. And what we're wanting to call your attention to is that it's fine to observe what is, especially if what is pleasing you. But you might want to fill in the missing gaps with memories of things that were pleasing or imagining things that are pleasing. And what we've noticed is that when you try to think your way, what often happens is law of attraction is so accommodating, and we are being sarcastic, and it doesn't become us either. But the reason that we are being sarcastic about that is because law of attraction does not give you access to thoughts that are very far from the thoughts that you've been actively thinking. When you focus upon something, you activate the vibration. And when you activate a vibration, law of attraction gives you more thoughts that are like that. And as you hold your attention there, that activation becomes strong enough that it's not just an activation, it's a dominant activation. And when something becomes a dominant activation, you call that a belief. We want to soften it by just saying it's a thought you keep thinking. When you continue to think a thought or activate a vibration that is not in alignment with who your inner being knows you are and with what you really want, then negative emotion ensues. And what happens to so many of you, bless your hearts, we mean this adoringly, you get used to that negative emotion. So you call it normal. You just become willing to put up with being ornery or being overwhelmed or being frustrated or being angry. And if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would not put up for a moment with negative emotion. So it is our powerful desire that you leave here today with a new determination that you're going to bless your emotional guidance system because it is giving you such important information about the vibrational relativity between the thoughts that you're thinking and what you really are wanting. And that you make a decision that you are going to do your best to feel as good as you can feel all day long on every subject that becomes active within you. Joseph Campbell offered the most powerful, best words we've ever heard, uttered in physical form about how you can get to where you want to be in terms of fulfilling your reason for being, in terms of living happily ever after, in terms of being the being that you came forth to be, when he said, follow your bliss. But we notice that sometimes you cannot even get a whiff of bliss because your vibrational proclivity, because of what you're focused upon, is so vibrationally different from the bliss that he is encouraging you toward. And so we are encouraging you to follow your bliss, but sometimes you might have to take the life-giving breath of fresh air that anger will give you on your way to bliss. In other words, would you rather be afraid of something or angry about something? You're very wise. Your guidance is showing you that anger is a better choice. So if you are in despair or fear, in that utterly disempowered place, can you find bliss? Nothing's wrong with you. It is that law of attraction says you can't set your radio dial on 6:30 a.m. and hear what's being broadcast on 98 FM. The frequencies are too far apart. And you cannot be observing something that is giving you the emotional feedback of despair and all of a sudden jump over into appreciation and love and joy. The vibrational jump is too big. But you could find anger, and often do. Your friends don't like that though, do they? They liked you better when you were depressed. When you're depressed, you stay in your room and you don't bother anybody. When you're angry, you're out there flapping in their face, making trouble for everybody. But if you're looking at it from your personal self-survival, self-indicator, self-guided, source energy point of view, you know that anger is a better choice for you, don't you? So why are you afraid to take it? Because you care more about what they think about how you feel than you do about how you feel. You have long ago, most of you, given up your rights to your own guidance. You stopped trusting yourself because they ganged up on you. There were 2 of them when you were born, most of you. And then more and more and more and more and more. Now there's all that peer group pressure and then government intervention, all those law enforcement agencies, not to mention the people that you really care about, that you tend to care more about what they think about what you're doing than you do about how you feel. And we want to reactivate within you a determination that you are going to get hold of the vibrational relationship between you and you. When somebody says to you, balance your energy, that's got to be what they're talking about. Because you are extensions of source energy. You are eternal extensions of source energy. You can never get loose of the source energy that is you. You can never cease being you. And the source energy that is you loves you and loves others. The source energy that is you knows your value, knows your worthiness, knows your possibilities, knows all of the wonderful things that are over here in vibrational escrow waiting for you. And that source energy will always be a vibrational match to the things that you want and will never join you in your depression. That's why depression feels like depression. Do you know that the feeling of depression or the feeling of anger, the feeling of any negative emotion is you holding a vibrational pattern that is disallowing your full connection with who you are? And so negative emotion is your indication that you are not allowing that full connection. We never see you stick a happy face sticker over your gas gauge because it is troubling to you to see that it's empty. Oh, I'm empty. I better cover that up. It bothers me to see that. You sort of want to know when your tank's empty, don't you? And if you wait till it really empties out, it's a lot harder than if you just catch it as it approaches empty and then do something about it. And this is what your emotional guidance system is doing for you too. It's letting you know you're sort of emptying out on this thought. You might want to proceed to the highlighted route and see if you can't find a better feeling place about this. And when you start guiding yourself by caring about how you feel, you start guiding yourself back into the stream of source energy. And when you come back into the stream of source energy, that's where your clarity is. That's where your joy is. That's where your resiliency is. That's where your flexibility is. That's where your balance is. That's where the good ideas come from. That's where all the good stuff is accessed from. You cannot get to the good stuff from the place of feeling bad. It defies law. And you cannot get to bad stuff from the place of feeling good. It defies law. But you've got to decide first, and we want you to do it here today if you want to. We want you to decide that it is good to feel good. It is so screwy. How did you ever get crossways of that? Let's see now. Struggle is good. Pain is good. And we say, in what world? Oh, they promised you that it would be good after you die. Well, they lied. It will be good after you die, but not because you've paid the price of struggle. It's just good when you die, because when you die, you quantum leap into pure positive energy. When you die, you stop beating the drum of all of those things that have been keeping you from full connection. But friends, as long as you're here in these physical bodies, quantum leaps, rare as they are, never last. It's not the route you're wanting to go. You're not wanting to try to find bliss from despair. Just work your way up the emotional scale. Here's this emotional scale. On one end of it feels really good. On the other end of it feels really bad. On the really good feeling end, there is your perception of freedom. On the really bad feeling end, there is your perception of not freedom. And we carefully ask Esther to find the word perception because it is perceptual. You are free. You are so free you can choose bondage. You are so free that no one can do anything to you. You are so free that you are the only one that is causing anything to happen in your experience. You say, but wait, that person did such and such to me. And we say, but it was your observation of it and the subsequent contradiction in vibration that caused the vibrational meltdown within you that disallowed the well-being that would have been there if you hadn't been observing it. And you say, well, I wouldn't have been observing it if they weren't doing it. And we say, yes, but now you're getting into that realm where you have to control the conditions. Now you're saying, if I observe that, I feel bad, and if I observe that, I feel bad. So I need to find some way of controlling things so that everything that I observe will be good. And we say, give it up. You don't get to decide what other people put in their pie. Nobody can put anything in your pie unless you observe what they're putting in their pie. And when you observe what they're putting in their pie, now you're a vibrational match to what they're putting in their pie, and now you're putting it in your pie. And now you're blaming them because you've got it in your pie. But you put it in your pie. No, I didn't. You say, I didn't put it in my pie. They put it in my pie. They put it in their pie first, and then some of it got in my pie. And we say none of it could have gotten in your pie if you hadn't had your nose in their pie. If you hadn't been paying attention to somebody else's pie, you wouldn't have their stuff in your pie. You only get in your pie what you are giving your attention to. And you say, well, it's hard not to notice what other people are putting in their pie. And we say, we know it can be hard, but maybe you could start making your own pie and getting interested in that. Well, my pie isn't as interesting as their pie. Their pie's on CNN. Their pie is on the front page of the newspaper. Their pie is on my soap opera and on all the television programs. The stuff that they're putting in their pie seems to be everywhere. And because it's everywhere, it keeps getting in my pie. Only because you're giving attention to it. Nothing can get in your pie that you're not giving your attention to. Well, how can I not give my attention to the things that are everywhere? And we say, find something that feels good to you and give your attention to that. Well, it's hard, you say. It's hard to focus. And we say, but that's what a creator does. A creator focuses. A creator decides what you want in your pie and put it in your pie. Well, how do I know for sure what I want in my pie? Make some pies and eat them and see how they are. We call that post-manifestational pie eating. We call that waiting until it is manifested in order to figure out what the vibrational content of it was. It works. Or you could pay attention to the way you feel while you're putting the stuff in your pie. Because if it feels good while you're putting it in there, it's going to taste good when it's done. But if it doesn't feel so good when you're putting it in there, have you ever made a pie and known that you put the wrong ingredients in it? And you just hoped that it would turn out good anyway? Maybe no one will notice. But when you mix your pie with ingredients that don't feel good while you're mixing it, it doesn't turn out good. In other words, you cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey ever.